A Republican presidential candidate, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, spoke about the Trump indictment in a CNN town hall last night.
It is a very tight, very detailed, evidence-laden indictment, and the conduct in there is awful. I mean, put aside taking the documents in the first place, but then when you start getting asked, Anderson, in May of 21, nicely, with a letter from the archivist saying, could you please give them back? And you ignore it. Then they come with a grand jury subpoena. And then, according to the indictment, you tell your lawyers, tell them we don't have anything, even though you have dozens and dozens of boxes of material. That's obstruction of justice, if it's true. This is vanity run amok, Anderson. Run amok. Ego run amok. And he is now going to put this country through this when we didn't have to go through it. I did this for 7 years in New Jersey. We did 130 political corruption prosecutions without a loss. What I could tell you for sure I know about that indictment is there's probably about a third of the evidence they actually have is in that indictment.
There's a lot more.
There will guaranteed be a lot more. When you're a prosecutor, you never put every card on the table before the trial. And so there's going to be a lot more. Don't be fooled. There's a lot more information to come when they go to trial. Specifically, I think there are going to be a lot of witnesses who actually worked for Donald Trump who are now going to be testifying against him.
You know him very well.
Yes.
Why do you think he did it? I mean,
he cannot live with the fact that he lost to Joe Biden. He can't live with it. And look, I watched the way Joe Biden's performing. I'd be pretty bummed out, too, if I'd lost to Joe Biden. But the fact is he did. And he wants to continue to pretend he's president. He wants the trappings of the presidency around him. And I think one of those trappings is these documents. And we're in a situation where there are people in my own party who are blaming DOJ. How about blame him? He did it. He hasn't won a damn thing since 2016. Three-time loser. 2018, we lost the House. 2020, we lost the White House. We lost the United States Senate a couple of weeks later in 2021. And in 2022, we lost 2 more governorships, another Senate seat, and barely took the House of Representatives when Joe Biden had the most incompetent first 2 years I've ever seen in my life. Loser, loser, loser.
Oh, wow. Well, when you do that, it's good, but that was pretty effective. You really laid it out there and then came in at the end with loser, loser, loser.
See, I'm just a poor country lawyer. Yeah. He's a prosecutor from the big city.
He named them, all those losses.
He's a big city prosecutor.
But then that makes Kevin McCarthy so confusing. This guy loses for you, and you come up with the most pathetic defense.
It is really strange. But Willie,
bathroom doors have locks.
We're talking about how good Chris Christie actually was last night, the prosecutor and Chris Christie. We're not even talking about the content. We're just talking about his argument, how he delivered the argument. He laid him low.
He was excellent last night. He was very clear in his criticism of Donald Trump. He said, this stuff is indefensible, guys. We can pretend it's not. And he's talking to fellow Republicans like Kevin McCarthy, whose bite we just played. Read the indictment. He says it's indefensible. Stop blaming everybody else. Stop talking about everything being weaponized. Blame a guy who took nuclear secrets, who took military plans and stuffed them in a shower at Mar-a-Lago and allegedly was waving them around to some people. So the question will be, does it matter? Is there a lane for Chris Christie in this race? Are there enough Republicans who are fed up with Donald Trump? As John pointed out, there weren't any applause for any of those lines he was delivering last night. He was telling the truth and doing it effectively, but there wasn't a big rousing ovation like Donald Trump got at his town hall.
Well, I'm not sure how this town hall was set up.
But at least the truth actually got in the front door.
Yeah.
That's right.
Of a Republican event. And got through the front door, we must say, David Ignatius, by a very skilled prosecutor. Now, people are talking about Chris Christie's lane. Does he have a lane to victory? I don't even know if that's what he's focused on right now. It appears that he's not just for the hell of it. It appears that he's interested in prosecuting the case against a man he believes has destroyed his Republican Party and now is doing things with these documents that could destroy the national security of the United States of America.
There's also, Joe, this amazing Shakespearean drama of Chris Christie, who prosecuted Jared Kushner's father and then was exiled from the Trump inner circle, just canned at the last minute from what he thought would be a significant role. And he's having his say now. I thought he had some incredibly acute observations last night. One that really struck me was the phrase "vanity run amok." And as I say, I've been looking at the indictment itself. I'm just going to read you one brief section in which Trump's former lawyer, Evan McCormick, says that Trump told him, "I don't want anybody looking. I don't want anybody looking through my boxes. I really don't. I don't want you looking through my boxes." It's that sense that the presidency, the documents, these secrets that millions of Americans in uniform and in our intelligence services have worked so hard together, they're mine. And that's the thing that, to me, in this indictment that's so appalling. And I think Christie just nailed it. And I hope Republicans will see it. Do they really want to defend this? Do they want to go to the wall to defend the things that are in this document?
You think about, Willie, Chris Christie. You think about others that are starting to speak out a little bit here, a little bit there. You think about the family that has scattered, from members of the family that have scattered. Again, it's not happening as fast as perhaps some would like, but bit by bit, piece by piece. Look where Donald Trump is in 2023 compared to where he was in 2016. He's just more and more isolated.
The family went everywhere together in 2016, no matter where it was, hard to get there.
And you look at the people that were willing to work for him in 2016.
The family.
That are nowhere to be seen now. And my gosh, the harshest attacks have come from people like Barr. And by the way, we were watching Fox last night just to see what they were doing at 6 o'clock. It's pretty down the middle. At least at 6. Hey, we didn't see the rest of it. Just stay off my Twitter. Or you can go on there. It's such a mess now, by the way, Twitter.
I don't get it.
It's like I could
confusing.
I could scroll through it in 5 minutes.
Right.
And really get a sense of
And
the
I
news.
knew what the news was.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I can't do it now.
I don't even look at it so
It's
much.
just
It's
it's
a horror
ads,
show.
it's chaos, it's this stuff I don't want to see.
Garbage.
And I'm not saying that I don't care I don't care who's running it. This
maybe
isn't
they'll fix it.
directed at
Maybe
Elon
Linda will
Musk.
fix
I'm
it.
just saying it's an absolute mess. Let me say this to all my progressive friends, I now just go to Drudge. After the New York Times, the Washington Post, whatever.
Sure.
But as far as the quick fix, what's going on, what's the buzzy stuff, you go to Drudge, then I go to all the newspapers. It used to be Twitter.
Yeah.
And I just scroll it, and in 5 minutes, I knew the
No.
world.
Yes.
So weird now. It's
You can't
cartoonesque.
do it now, and I have no idea how I got onto Twitter there, but I was thinking, Fox.
Okay, back to
So last night it was pretty straight down the middle, at least at 6 o'clock, and you had they played the quotes of Barr, which was just searing, and then they had Brit Hume on.
Yeah.
Brit Hume was like, okay, listen, basically says, okay, so maybe they should have done something different with Hillary. Maybe they should do something different somewhere else. Okay, that's fine. You can believe that. And Brett, so we're saying this also, Bret Baier, at the same time, you can be deeply offended and worried about what Donald Trump has done here with national security secrets.
It's exactly what Chris Christie said last night. He said, I think James Comey blew it with Hillary Clinton. That deserved more prosecution that it got. Okay, put that to the side. That was 7, 8 years ago now. Just read the indictment. He turned to the crowd and said, please read the indictment.
Right.
This is nuclear secrets. This is military planning. And again, I understand our audience doesn't love everything Chris Christie stands for, his policy positions. We've said a million times that, yes, he was along for the ride. He endorsed Donald Trump in 2016, gave him credibility, worked for him right up and through debate prep in 2020. We get all that. But there is someone in the race now who's at least saying, in this case, the obvious, what should be the easy, but is not so easy, it turns out, for most Republicans to say, this is bad. This is very bad.